Cough medicine in my soda line. I'm solo. I'm solo.
I am shook by this breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Solo Moto with yours truly, Jared Yamamoto. And I really hope that we are being faked out by this story here because as an Atlantan, this man is an idol. He is an icon, and he has done so much for the city of Atlanta. And to hear about his retirement, oh, man, I had to put the Strait of Hormuz talk off to the side and had to put the national stories off to the side. But the self-proclaimed King of the South, T.I., announced that he is retiring from music. And this one hurts. I love T.I. Again, 45 years old, young guy. You know, this is not like he had put out a bad album recently. Like his last album, I actually like a lot. It came out last year. And if there is any bright spot to the story, it is that he has announced that he had retired before and come out of retirement. So fingers crossed that this is the news here, because T.I., the amount of impact that he has brought to the city of Atlanta, the rap community, the music community in general, is just unmatched. I mean, that era with Outkast, Ludacris, T.I., and then Migos was able to follow in those footsteps. Just an unbelievable era of music that came out of the South, especially out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he will be missed, man. I'm happy that he's planning to pass the baton on to his kids and allow them to get into music. But man, at 45 years old, when you hear stories about, the Rolling Stones coming out with a new album, or you hear about these older bands that are in their 70s and 60s coming out with new music, it gives me hope on one hand. But on the other hand, if there is somebody that is definitely leaving on top, T.I. is definitely retiring on top. And to hear this news, man, I feel like I should dedicate the entire show to him. T.I. was such a big influence on me. He was huge when I was in high school. And kind of fell off a little bit when I was in college, but certainly had a huge impact on my development, being born and raised in Atlanta. Congratulations to your retirement. I had to open with that story. Sticking with music news here, Nickelback. This is also a sign of the times here, where Nickelback apparently has a new album coming out and a new song called Rattle the Cage. And I'll play a little bit of it for you, and you see what you think here. It does kind of remind me of old Nickelback. I can only play so much on these live streams because they'll get taken down. So just catch it for a second here. See what you think. Interesting kind of sound there that Nickelback has come back. And people could talk all they want about butt rock. You had your Creeds, you had your Nickelback, and you had Avenged Sevenfold, all kind of during that time in the early 2000s. I think there's some nostalgia there. I think it's really come back. I saw a Creed show about a year and a half ago, and I went in with low expectations, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I think I would enjoy going around and seeing Nickelback tour again, and actually getting the chance to experience them for the first time. So weird times where I'm bringing to you that T.I. has just announced that he's retiring, but Nickelback is coming out with new music. We live in interesting times here in the year 2026. All right, now let's get into the national news here, because obviously what's on everybody's mind right now has been the Strait of Hormuz. It has been a big topic here on Solo Moto, and of course I brought it up on my nightcap, and I have literally been a step ahead every single time I have predicted what's going to happen. So the news was really over the weekend, just to catch everybody up, was obviously the memorandum of understanding fell through, and I talked at length on my nightcap on Saturday about that. And in my opinion, what you should do to fix that problem is we already know that there are multiple paths through the Strait of Hormuz. So in my opinion, what you should do is you should pick a path that is close, that goes close to Oman through the Strait of Hormuz, and you create a dome over it. You can call it the Hormuz Dome or whatever. And I think that that's how you solve the problem long term, and you allow these ships to safely pass through until we figure out who in the heck we're going to negotiate with Iran. And I almost predicted to a T exactly how this would go down, which, by the way, if you want to know exactly what I said, my nightcap is available wherever you get your podcasts. And I literally said all this on Saturday. But anyway, the now we're at the point now where I knew that our objective was going to be to try to take control of the Strait of Hormuz, and then for us to charge a toll, even though it seems like a good idea for us to charge a toll. After all, we're trying to defend other countries' assets. We're trying to make sure that everything moves safely. It is hypocritical because what we had promised we would do was we wanted to try to make sure that other ships could pass through safely without a toll if Iran were to have their current regime in control. It would be hypocritical of us to then charge a toll. So now we're in this spot where we were going to charge a 20% fee for ships going through. Now the president has come out and said that he is not going to charge that 20% fee, which is the absolute right decision to make. You cannot say, well, they can't charge a 20% toll, but we're going to charge a 20% toll. You can't do that on the world stage. It comes across as inconsistent at the least. So now we're in this weird place where we don't really know who we're negotiating with in Iran. And I think that until we can get them to the table, what we need to do is we still need to go with my dome idea over the most protected route through the Strait of Hormuz. And yes, it kind of stinks that you're going to have, ship by ship, probably going one by one, two by two, but it at least allows us to protect it while in that very vulnerable part of the waterway. I think that that's the right way to handle it until we can get some kind of long-term solution where both sides can appear to their people to be happy. Because right now, the reality is if this continues going into the midterms, Republicans are done. Nobody is going to want to vote for Republicans in November if this conflict in Iran is still going. And already the gas prices are going up. We're starting to get all these, notifications about gas going up. I know I'm going to get gas tonight, but it's getting serious when you get pieces like this. Check this out.
Get ready to pay more to fill up your tank again. Escalating tensions between the U.S. and Iran are causing oil prices to surge. Both sides want to block maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. It's a major waterway for global energy trade. When tankers can't travel through the strait, oil production around the world is disrupted. And when oil prices go up, gas prices typically go up within 24 to 48 hours. And the national average for a gallon of regular gas jumped 7 cents in the last week.
Any small impact is going to have a very big ripple effect on not just one country, but all of us.
Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddy says the good news is he doesn't think prices will spike as high as they did in the spring.
Well, at least that's good news that he doesn't think they're going to spike as much as they did in the spring. But I can tell you this, the American people are not going to tolerate high gas prices for a long amount of time. We're not going to do it again. And if you are in power, which right now the Republicans have got the House, the Senate, and the White House, you are on the hook for this. So this needs to be resolved quickly. I think you have to do the boa constrictor effect, which is you squeeze the life out of Iran and let them know, hey, you can't do anything. You are ineffective at being able to hit any ships that are going through the Strait of Hormuz through our dome over it. And it would be wise for you to take a deal or some kind of negotiation while there is some leverage that you have at the moment, because that's the only way that I think that you can get it done quickly and to make sure that the global energy prices don't just skyrocket across the board. That's what Republicans should make sure that they should make sure does not happen, is make sure that those prices end up rising across the board. And also now we're apparently hearing about on a Thursday, there's going to be some kind of special surprise that's going to come out where at least on the Georgia angle here, they're going to the president's going to come out and say that he found evidence that is going to delegitimize the 2020 election. And look, this is just getting absurd. It's 2026. Let it go. Let it go. You lost in 2020. It was a weird election with all the mail-in voting. But this idea that we're suddenly going to be able to cast senators out. Like I've heard some rumors. Again, they're rumors. Well, I'll believe me. I will bring it to you the second that I know exactly what it's going to be. But apparently, the Georgia angle is that he has found some way to delegitimize John Ossoff winning in 2020, who is one of our senators. And I just think that's an absolutely absurd perspective. You should be thinking about how do you win in November and how do you win going forward instead of going back and trying to rewrite history because it doesn't change anything. The history is already there. You can't go back and change what COVID did. And even if you did, it's not like you're going to get a third term or anything like that. It just doesn't make any sense. So I hope that there's more to this surprise that's going to come out on Thursday than just trying to say, well, John Ossoff in the state of Georgia is not a legitimate senator. I really hope that there's a lot more to it than what appears to be coming down the pipe as of right now. A couple more stories I wanted to get to here. I see that Bryce Harper is in the news here. You got the MLB All-Star game tonight, and there is a controversy with him in the gambling app FanDuel, where apparently Bryce Harper said that he did not know how FanDuel would use one of his personalized videos that he made for a customer who has since accused the sportsbook in a lawsuit of taking advantage of his gambling addiction. Now, here's the deal. The user was a big-time gambler on the app, and apparently FanDuel was pushing for him to buy Super Bowl tickets and to buy some very, very expensive tickets and just was trying to push more and more of their product upon them. Here's the deal. If Bryce Harper has any kind of contract or deal with FanDuel, then he needs to make sure that he knows the fine print there. Because believe me, there are a lot of people that do not want these sports books to exist. And I'm here to tell you, I understand that they can be predatory, but overall, I would much rather have the freedom to make the decision on whether or not I'm gambling on any kind of sports book, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, in this case, you name it, all the different sports books, than to not have the freedom that we have now. And for Bryce Harper, if he agreed to any kind of deal, the question that he has to ask himself and really his agent is, what kind of freedom did he give his agent? Was his agent allowed, or in the fine print, are they allowed to use some of his cameo videos for things like this? And that'll be the real question there, because he's now saying that FanDuel had no reason to be able to use this video. We will have to wait and see how this all plays out, because again, those contracts are lengthy. There's a lot of fine print, and hopefully his agent was able to catch it. I don't want any of these sports books to be predatory, but I would much rather have the freedom to be able to gamble willingly than to not be able to gamble. That's at least where I stand on the issue there. And I think that we're going to find out more about this in the next couple days, and there will certainly be a big lobby from the anti-gambling folks that are going to be trying to push against sports books like this here. So interesting story coming out here. I think that, again, if somebody's got a problem, though, that's an unfortunate thing. But I would much rather have people have the ability to make the gambling decision on their own. That's at least where I stand on the issue. And kind of in the same vein here, I didn't get a chance to cover this last week, but I'm kind of annoyed by this, but I also understand with the college landscape why conferences are going to start doing this. So apparently the Big 12 has agreed to add the Monster Energy logo to all of their branding. So now it is the Monster Energy Big 12. And college football is right around the corner. It's going to be here before you know it. And at first I was angry. I didn't like the idea of the Big 12, putting it in my face and saying, you're going to have Monster Energy, and now you're going to have the Charmin Ultra SEC or the, whatever it is, the Duke's Mayo ACC. There's going to be all these reasons why these companies want to get their branding on these different conferences. But here's the reality. We have to get to a place in college football, especially, where it's understood across the board. The players are going to get paid, and there has to be a mechanism for the players to get paid. Now, on the flip side of that, even though not everybody's in the same place that I'm at, that's the reality. The reality is players are going to get paid no matter what from this point forward. That's how it's going to work. So if you're against it, I'm sorry, you're in the minority. It's going to be left behind, and players are going to get paid from now probably until the end of time, until this college football dies out, college basketball dies out, college sports dies out. That would be the only way that the players would stop getting paid. But the reality is that until we create some kind of salary cap to prevent these colleges from just spending, millions and millions of dollars for these players and creating an unfair advantage where, let's say the schools like Texas, for example, which has a lot of oil money, LSU has got a lot of money from their alumni. There has to be some kind of restriction on how much money these schools can spend. And then at that point, maybe you'll start to see the caps on the sponsors going forward. I think that's the best way to fix it. And I am happy overall that the players are getting paid. And we are going to see things like the Monster Energy Big 12. I'm sure whatever the Pac-12 is going to be. Apparently, that's going to be back this season. I'm sure that'll have a sponsor. ACC will definitely have a sponsor. And that's just kind of the changing of the landscape. And that's so that way these players can get paid for the entertainment that they provide us on the field every Saturday during a college football season. I can't believe we're already over our time now. This is ridiculous. I feel like I'm just getting going. I have a plan in place, which, by the way, it sounds like based on demand in your amazing direct messages and comments that beginning after Labor Day, I will be starting Solo Moto on Mondays. So yes, it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm really pumped about it. And I believe I have enough resources to be able to do it. I'm a one-man band over here, but the incredible feedback that you guys give me, and I love doing it. Number one, I love being able to bring you the news of the day. The plan is to make this a 4-day per week show starting after Labor Day. So I'm getting ready for you. I'm really pumped about it because, of course, we get going and I've got all these things here that I haven't even brought up. I haven't even brought up the fact that Lindsey Graham passed away and how interesting that was. All I can say is that in that story, for Lindsey Graham to pass away, he apparently in texts was worried about doing a TV interview with Meet the Press the next day. Take care of yourself. And this really resonated with me, being somebody that is considered a part of media. There have been times where I've been exhausted and I've pushed myself to do different events or to do different interviews, and I probably should have done it. And I think seeing him, granted significantly older than me, go through that and was worried about how he was going to be portraying himself on TV. Wrong mindset. You got to take care of your body first, take care of who you are first, and then be able to deliver whatever it is your perspective is. So rest in peace to Lindsey Graham. And I know that his sister Darlene is going to be the temporary Senate candidate over, I guess, the temporary Senate replacement over there in South Carolina. So didn't even get a chance to get into that. Also, didn't even get a chance to get into the what was the other story? Oh, this wild story here. So Georgia Aquarium is getting some new beluga whales, and I wanted to know more about this story, but this is wild here. I almost forgot about this. Check this out.
These beluga whales have spent nearly 2 years in a shuttered Canadian amusement park. That may finally be about to change. The whales have remained at Marineland in Niagara Falls since the park closed in 2024. After the park said it could no longer care for them, officials warned they could be euthanized if they weren't relocated, according to a letter from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA has approved an emergency import authorization allowing up to 28 of the whales to be rescued and brought to the United States. Under the plan, the whales will be transferred to accredited aquariums across the country. The remaining 2 are planned to go to Spain, CNN affiliate CBC reports. Before the whales are transported, several conditions must be met, including approval from a vet that each whale is healthy enough to travel, according to a letter from NOAA. The transfer must also comply with US animal welfare.
Absolutely crazy story about this Canadian zoo that just completely fell apart like this. And that's why the Georgia Aquarium will be getting 2 new beluga whales. I'm so glad I got to that. And I'll have to play the Rory McIlroy thing for you guys tomorrow when we're back together for Solo Moto. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe. And obviously, on today's news, congratulations on the great career for T.I. I'll play a little bit of T.I. as we go out here today. Have a great rest of your day and be safe out there. Talk to you tomorrow.
You know the old sugar daddy. be tricking. They tell them girls. I said you can have whatever you like. I said you can have whatever you like. Yeah. Stacks on deck, Patron on ice.